Hello, everybody. This is Meenakshi Narula, and I welcome you to my channel, Mentoring the Mentors. My dear educators, we believe in empowering educators, elevating education. In today's video, we are going to discuss principles of assessment. Yes, what are the basic principles that we need to take care of while planning assessment? Yes, my dear educators, I'll just show and discuss the different principles. As you can see here on the screen, there are 6 principles laid, but we will be discussing 12 principles in total. Here in front of you, first of all, it is principle of validity, principle of reliability, principle of fairness, transparency, practicality, and educational impact. These are the 6 principles. And the next 6 are principles of balance, principle of continuity and comprehensiveness, principle of appropriateness, principle of authenticity, of flexibility, and cultural sensitivity. So let's talk about these 12 principles in detail, right? Actually, while planning assessment, you need to take care of such principles. And along with that, if you are appearing for B.Ed or M.Ed exams, then also you should be aware of these points. Make sure you first list these 12 points in the form of a mind map called a graphic organizer, and then you can elaborate on these points, right? So let's talk about validity. What do you mean by validity? How do you get to know whether the assessment is valid or not? Right? It means the learning outcome that you are about to measure, whether you are able to measure through this assessment that you are going to plan or not. It should align with the learning objectives, the learning outcome, and the accuracy, right, by which we will be able to evaluate students' knowledge, skill, and attitude, which is called competency. For example, a math test, if you are planning, it should assess the problem solving skills, numerical skills, not just the memorization skill. Like, we should not only assess whether the child is able to remember just the formulas only, or whether the child is able to apply those formulas in the real life, right? So we need to assess the application, the higher order thinking skills. That makes the assessment valid, right? So now let's talk about another point, reliability. What is the difference between validity and reliability, right? Assessment should yield consistent and dependable results when repeated under similar conditions. When you prepare an assessment, make sure you use the same in different classroom situations, so that you should get to know it is giving dependable, consistent results in similar conditions, right? It should minimize the bias. It should not be biased in any case. Like, for example, assessment you are conducting in northern region, and then you are conducting in the southern region, or maybe in the eastern region, and based on different cultures and the backgrounds, it is giving different result. It should be free from all kind of biases. It should be reliable. If a teacher if the different teachers grade the same essay using the same rubric, their score should be similar, right? It should also not happen, like, for example, in board exams, when the students, they appear in different exams, the answer sheets, they are being sent to the different schools, to the different teachers for the assessment. Now, if the assessment is not reliable, obviously there will be disparity in the marks given by the different teachers of different regions, right? So then assessment doesn't become reliable. Okay, so first point was validity, and now it is reliability. The third point is fairness. Assessment should be free from bias and provide equal opportunities for all the students to demonstrate their learning. It should accommodate diverse learning styles, their abilities, different backgrounds. For example, using both written and oral kind of assessment that ensures a student with different strengths and succeed. For example, you see, I would like to elaborate on what has been written over here, and I have just shared with you. Like, the children, they have got different abilities, they have got different learning styles, right? And when we talk about especially assessment, I'm not talking about evaluation, I'm talking about assessment. So we should give chance to the students with different learning styles to come forward. If a child is shy in speaking, the child can write. If the child is not good in that writing, right, verbal linguistic, you can give the child different kind of platform where the child can illustrate and exhibit his another artistic skills, right? So the children should be given freedom, so that fairness should be there. It should not happen that the child is not good at writing skill and the child is not performing well, right? That should not be hindrance to the child's success, right? We are talking about assessment, right? And now the next is transparency. The criteria, the method, the purpose of the assessment, it should be clear both to the teachers as well as to the students. Students should be able to understand what is expected from them. Like in this assessment, what are you expecting as a teacher from them and how you are going to evaluate their performance, right? Providing students with the grading rubric well before the assessment. Like when you allot any kind of assignment to your students, along with that you should share the rubrics. The children should be aware, like these are the rubrics, based on that you are going to assess them. And now let's talk about practicality, right? Whether the assessment is practical, feasible or not. Assessment should be manageable in terms of time. Like it should, like recently it has happened. You must have also come across many of the teachers, they are sharing on WhatsApp groups, and I have even read in news also, like the physics exam that has happened yesterday, like it was very lengthy, maybe it was out of syllabus and the students were not able to do that. Numericals, they were of higher order thinking skills beyond the level of the class 12. I mean, it was mentioned they were the views of the different teachers. Practically, I have not gone through that paper, but I'm just sharing with you the views of the different teachers. So practically, it should be feasible. Like if you are giving 3 hours time, the students should be able to complete the paper in 3 hours of time, right? And the resources, the efforts required from both the teachers as well as from the students, and should be desired to fit within the constraints of the classroom environment, right? And should not create any kind of unnecessary stress, both for the teacher as well as for the students. For example, the short quizzes, the group discussions, they can provide valuable insights without overwhelming the students. So such kinds of assessments can be conducted easily in the class. Now let's talk about educational impact. Assessment should support and enhance the learning by reinforcing the key concepts and the skill. And it should encourage various 21st century skills. As you know very well, they are the 4 C's: critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, communication, problem solving, right? It should not only focus on rote memorization. Otherwise, you see, the objective is not resolved. We are not able to achieve the objective of assessment. You should give open-ended questions, right? Real world case-based questions. Now they are there in the exams. You should give competency-based questions, because we need to enhance, we need to promote the deeper understanding and the application of the knowledge. As per Bloom's taxonomy, let's focus more on analysis, evaluation, and creativity, right? Because most of the time we keep on focusing on remembering and understanding only, right? So this is to be taken care of. And now let's talk about balancing. Here comes formative and summative assessment. When we talk about how many formative assessment we conduct in a classroom throughout the year, how many for summative assessment we conduct, right? You know very well what is the difference between formative and summative. I have already mentioned the same in my previous videos. If you want to know, you can even go through those previous videos as well. And some of you feel I speak really fast. My dear educators, you know very well, on this YouTube, you are able to adjust the speed. If you want to increase, you can do that. If you want to slow it down, please make sure you go ahead with the self-paced learning. That's entirely up to you, right? I apologize if that creates any hindrance to your learning, but I'll try my level best to little bit slow in speaking and sharing the content with you, right? Regular quizzes, classroom discussions, they are the formative assessment, right? Unit tests, final examination, half-yearly examination, they are the summative test. So there should be a balance between that. Who is supposed to create that balance? You as teachers. You need to discuss with the management, the principal, and accordingly you will be able to make a balance, right? You know very well, CBSE says there should be 3 in-house assessment and then the final assessment, it is there. Now it's up to you. You want to have 2 periodic tests and you want to have 1 half-yearly, and some of the schools, they have a 3 periodic tests and 1 half-yearly examination. That is entirely up to you. What do we do? Yes, you are asking that. Yes, we conduct 2 periodic tests and 1 half-yearly examination. Marks you will be deciding, entirely up to you, right? And let's talk about continuous and comprehensive assessment. Assessment should be ongoing process that captures the student's progress over time. Like it should not be like after 6 months only you are conducting assessment, how you will be able to map, how you will be able to track the student learning. You should be able to scaffold the student wherever it is required. So it should evaluate the cognitive, emotional, social development as well as academic performance. For that, make sure you give place to the journals and portfolios, so that they will be able to provide the evidences of the students' learning and their development throughout the year. So such kinds of formative assessments, they should be included. Basically, if I say the portfolios and journals, they are considered as assessment as learning. When the student, they participate in such kinds of activities, they are able to design their own roadmap to success. Right now, if talk about appropriateness, principle of appropriateness, assessment task should be suitable for the student's age, developmental stage, their cognitive abilities. Right, for class 1, the age that has been decided by the ministry, it is 6 years. Right now, they have given a relaxation of 6 months, because past many years, even the 5 years students, they were being promoted to class 1. So accordingly, right now, slowly and gradually, it will be streamlined. Why? Because they are talking about the cognitive abilities. As per them, in class 1, like a child should be there who is 6 years and plus, right? So they should challenge the students appropriately without causing undue stress. So younger students might benefit from hands-on tasks. Older students, they can handle more abstract assignments. That's why we move from concrete to abstract as per the age level, as per the requirement. Now let's talk about the principle of authenticity. Assessment should reflect real world tasks and challenges. It should be able to prepare the students for life beyond the classroom. It should not be confined only to the four walls of the room. It should have practical application based questions, and simulating the real life scenarios in science experiments, in business case studies. It helps students to develop the practical skills. Otherwise, that knowledge is of no use, that is just is written in the books and we regurgitate, just vomit out, and in the examination, that is of no use. So practicality of the assessment is to be taken care of. Now let's talk about flexibility. We don't appreciate the rigid assessments. Assessment should be adaptable to the different learning environments and the individual student needs. Teachers should be able to adjust the assessments. For example, even you can allow the students, this happens during formative assessment, right? Let me make this thing very clear. During summative, obviously, everybody has to appear for 80 marks paper when it is there, or 70 marks depending upon the subject. Somewhere it is 30 marks as well. For example, we talk about the painting subject. So there should be balance between theory and practical. That has been maintained as per the needs of the subject, right? So when we talk about the formative assessments, there we should give freedom to the students, or we can say voice and choice to the students. They can choose between written reports, oral presentations, creative projects, or maybe illustrations, podcast, videos, and all, as per their choice. Give them such kind of freedom, so that their talent should get platform, and only then they will be able to get success. Now let's talk about another principle, which is called principle of feedback, principle of motivation. Assessment should provide timely, constructive feedback that helps students understand their performance, and they'll be able to improve. Feedback should highlight both strengths as well as the areas of improvement, right? Which is where we talk about the sandwich strategy. We talk about what is goody goody, what is good, what they have performed well, and we talk about what are the areas of improvement as well. So we need to provide the detailed comments on the assignment. That feedback is required. I'm not talking about that good, phenomenal, fantastic, fantabulous. No, not such words, but you have to give the remarks like appreciate where the child has drawn well, but the child needs to work on the labeling. Maybe the labeling is to be done on one side, or how it is to be done, right? You need to give the proper, which the terminology that I should use is constructive feedback should be provided to the students. And the next one is the cultural sensitivity. Assessment should respect and reflect the diverse cultural backgrounds of the students. It should avoid the content that may be unfamiliar or maybe biased against a certain groups. Usually, culturally inclusive examples in tests and assignments ensure fairness and relevance. For example, if I always give examples from the southern region, what about the people who are staying in the northern region? They are not able to connect with that, right? So, such kinds of case studies or examples are to be avoided, right? Related to any culture, right? So now, my dear educators, let's conclude what are the principles we have discussed so far. These principles that we have discussed so far: reliability, of fairness, appropriateness, transparency, total 12 principles we have discussed. So what do they tell us? How, like, we need to more balance the formative as well as summative assessment. The different approaches need to be balanced. Feedback is to be provided. Assessment should be authentic. It should help the students to develop their knowledge, skill, and attitude, right? Means we need to work on competencies. So, my dear educators, this is all about the different principles related to assessment. Make sure before you prepare any kind of assessment, you need to go through these principles and also create a checklist, rubrics. When you prepare assessment, you need to check which principle you are following. Not necessary everywhere you will be having all the 12 principles, but try to include as many as possible. That enhances the authenticity of your assessment. So that's all for today. Stay tuned to Mentoring the Mentors. Like, subscribe, and share, and do recommend my channel in your community too. In case you want me to take a particular topic, do write in the comment section, right? Thank you, all of you. Have a nice day.